The Galactic Council chamber glittered under the light of 1,000 suns, its golden walls echoing with voices of anger and fear. Alien leaders from every corner of the galaxy filled the seats, their scales, feathers, and metallic skin shining beneath the floating lights. At the center stood the Speaker of the Council, his long fingers wrapped around a silver staff that pulsed with authority. "Order!" he shouted, his voice booming through the hall. "We gather today to decide the fate of the Deathworlders, those who call themselves humans." A hush fell, and 1,000 eyes turned to the massive hologram hovering in the air. It showed Earth, blue, calm, and innocent. But the speaker's words were sharp. "These creatures spread chaos. They create weapons that bend the laws of nature. They send their fleets to places they don't belong. They are a danger to all life." His words drew nods and growls from the crowd. "It is time," he said, raising his hand high, "that we end the threat of humanity." From the human delegation's small corner of the chamber, Ambassador Elara Reed stood slowly. Her dark eyes were calm but cold. "You call us a threat," she said softly, her voice echoing through the silence. "But it was your fleets that entered our colonies, your spies that poisoned our peace treaties, and your ships that fired first." The chamber erupted in noise, mocking laughter and shouts. "Lies! Humans twist truth. They must be destroyed." Elara did not shout back. Instead, she placed her hands behind her back and said, "You fear us because you cannot control us." That sentence silenced the room for a moment. Her calm confidence unsettled them. The speaker sneered. "Enough. Earth's envoy will be silent." He turned to the rest. "Let us vote." Hundreds of alien symbols lit up across the chamber, glowing red for war, blue for peace. The result was instant. Nearly every light turned red. The speaker smiled as he struck the floor with his staff. "The vote is decided," he announced proudly. "By the authority of the Galactic Council, humanity is declared an enemy of the stars." Gasps and cheers erupted. Some alien leaders celebrated. Others looked uneasy. A tall, ancient being covered in golden armor leaned toward the speaker and whispered, "You do not understand what you have done." The speaker laughed. "Old myths don't frighten me," he said. "Humans will fall in days." Across the hall, Elara pressed her communication pin. "Earth Command," she said quietly. "They've declared war." The voice on the other end was calm. "Understood," it replied. "Phase 1 begins, back on Earth." The news spread like fire. Every screen, every channel showed the same message. The Galactic Council declares war on Earth. Crowds filled the streets, soldiers prepared. Engineers worked day and night in hidden bases beneath mountains. Yet there was no panic, no chaos. The world seemed too quiet, as if humanity was holding its breath. In the council chamber, some began to feel uneasy. The speaker noticed it. "What is it now?" he demanded. A nervous officer stepped forward. "Sir, one of our scout ships entered human space, then vanished." The speaker frowned. "Vanished? Oh, no signal, no debris, nothing," the officer said. "It's as if it was erased," another officer interrupted. "Sir, 3 more fleets have gone silent." The room filled with whispers. The speaker tried to hide his unease. "Probably human sabotage. Their tricks won't save them," he muttered. But deep down, even he could feel something strange, an invisible pressure, a sense of being watched. At that moment, the lights in the council chamber flickered. The hologram of Earth changed. It zoomed in to show a human face staring directly at them. It was Admiral Kane, leader of Earth's defense fleet. His expression was unreadable. "You declared war on humanity," he said quietly. "We heard you." The aliens froze. The communication lines had been one way. How had he broken through? "You think you understand war," Kane continued. "But you don't understand humans." His tone remained calm, but behind it was something terrifying, confidence. "We tried peace, we offered friendship, but you chose fear," he said. "Now you will see what fear truly means." The speaker shouted, "End this transmission!" But none of the technicians could move. The systems were locked. The hologram flickered again. this time showing a massive human warship rising from behind Earth's moon. Unlike anything the galaxy had seen, its hull shimmered black and silver, absorbing light instead of reflecting it. "We call it the Aegis," Kane said. "It was built for defense, but now it will answer your war." The transmission cut out. Leaving silence in the chamber, the speaker looked pale. "It's a bluff," he said weakly. Humans exaggerate, but deep in his mind he wasn't sure. The old alien in golden armor turned to him again. "I warned you," he said slowly. "You declared war on survivors, not soldiers. Survivors never fight fair." Hours later, on the Council's military channel, an urgent alarm sounded. One of their fleets stationed near the human border had been wiped out in seconds. No battle, no distress signal, just static. The officers reported that space itself had twisted before their ships vanished. The same message appeared across every screen, a single sentence glowing in human text. "You wanted war. You found it," panic broke out. Fleets scrambled. Empires prepared for retaliation, but it was too late. Humanity had already disappeared from known space. All communication went silent. Every human outpost, ship and station was gone. The galaxy thought Earth had surrendered, yet in the blackness beyond the stars, something stirred. Massive engines hummed. Unseen ships moved in silence. Humanity wasn't gone. They were preparing. The speaker stood at his window, watching alien worlds light up with panic. He whispered to himself, "What have we done?" No one answered. Outside the chamber, space shimmered faintly, as if reality itself had bent for a moment. And somewhere far beyond the Council's reach, a quiet human voice said through static, "Phase 2 is ready." The war had only just begun, and the stars themselves seemed to tremble. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy realized what true silence meant. The calm before the storm humanity was about to unleash. The galaxy had fallen into a strange silence. After the Council's proud declaration of war, fleets had been sent to human space with confidence and arrogance. Yet days passed and no battles came. No victories were reported, only silence. The alien commanders laughed at first. Calling it fear, "Humans are hiding," they said. "They know what's coming." But soon that silence began to feel wrong. It wasn't weakness, it was waiting. On the bridge of the flagship Valarian, Admiral Krath, a tall reptilian warrior with golden eyes, stared at the holographic map. "We have entered the edge of human territory," his officer said nervously. But no transmissions, no defense signals. "Nothing?" Krath's claws tapped the metal table. "Scan again," he ordered. The scanners pulsed blue light across the black void, but there was nothing. "It's like they vanished," whispered another soldier. Krath hissed. "No one vanishes from war." A young technician turned in fear. "Admiral, we're detecting—" "Something," she said. "But it's not a signal. It's interference. Like echoes in the dark." Krath narrowed his eyes. "Show me." The hologram shifted, showing faint ripples across the border of human space. "Could be a storm," one officer said, but Krath shook his head. "Space doesn't breathe like that far away." In the deep command tunnels under Earth's surface, Admiral Kane stood before a giant screen, watching every alien move. His face was calm, almost too calm. "Their fleets have entered our trap zone," said the technician beside him. "Do we strike?" Kane's answer was soft but firm. "Not yet. Let them go deeper. They must believe we are gone." In the darkness above Mars, massive black ships floated silently. Invisible to most senses, their surfaces absorbed all light. No beacons, no energy trace. They were ghosts in the void. "Admiral," said Commander Reyes, "if we wait too long, they may reach Earth." Kane looked up. "That's exactly what I want them to think," he said. "Fear grows in silence, not noise." Back in the alien fleet, the tension grew. One of the smaller cruisers reported strange readings, a shadow passing through their radar again and again. "It's following us!" The pilot shouted. "We can't lock on!" Then the voice cut out. The screen went black. The ship disappeared from sensors. "What just happened?" Krath demanded. "Where is the Nerath?" The officer swallowed hard. "Gone, sir. No wreckage, no signal." "Nothing." Krath glared at the screen. "Send a recon drone." Minutes passed. The drone launched into the darkness, its camera showing empty stars. "No contact," the operator said. Then suddenly, a flash, a metallic figure for half a second, then static. The feed died. The room fell silent in the council chamber. The speaker received the first reports. "Fleet 7 has lost contact with multiple ships," said the messenger. "We don't know how," the speaker scoffed. "Technical failure, nothing more. These humans are primitives." The old armored alien who had warned him before said quietly, "You still don't see it, do you? They aren't fighting you yet. They're studying you." The speaker ignored him. "Send reinforcements," he barked. "I want every fleet in human space." Meanwhile, back on the Valarian, Admiral Krath's patience was breaking. "We've been searching for 3 cycles. No humans, no resistance," he roared. "They're cowards." Suddenly the lights flickered. The ship's AI voice trembled. "Warning, unidentified energy surge detected." Krath turned toward the screen. "Where?" The AI hesitated. "Inside the ship." Before anyone could react, the hull shook violently, red alarms blaring. "We've been breached," shouted the guards. But it wasn't a boarding, it was hacking. The main console flashed with human code, strange symbols the aliens couldn't decipher. The crew screamed as their navigation shut down, life support flickered, and the stars outside shifted. "We're moving," cried the pilot, "but no one's controlling it." Krath slammed his claw on the console. "Find the source." The answer came from the speakers, a human voice, calm and cold. "You shouldn't have come here." The entire bridge froze. "Who is this?" Krath shouted. "Identify yourself." The voice replied, "You declared war, Admiral. You will now see it." Suddenly all external cameras activated, showing dozens of shadows emerging from the void. Long black shapes moving without engines. They surrounded the fleet like silent predators. "Fire!" Krath screamed. The cannons charged, but before they could shoot, the lights dimmed and all power cut out one by one. Alien ships drifted dead in space. From Earth's command room, Admiral Kane watched silently. "Engage Phase 2, he ordered. Commander Reyes smiled grimly. "The ghosts are awake." From every human warship, invisible pulse waves spread, disabling alien technology instantly. No explosions, no screams, just silence. The entire alien armada floated helpless. Caught in the trap, Kane turned to his officers. "Send the message," he said. The transmission beamed across every council frequency. It was short and simple, an image of the alien fleet drifting powerless, followed by Kane's voice. "You came looking for war, but war found you first." Back on the Valarian, Krath stared helplessly as human ships drifted closer. "They're not firing," he whispered. "Why aren't they firing?" A faint light appeared on his screen, human text again, this time translating into alien language. "Return home, or be erased." Krath trembled. "Retreat," he ordered. "Get us out of here." The engines flickered weakly. Finally catching power, the fleet turned and fled, limping out of human space. When the broken fleet reached the nearest council outpost, they expected to be safe, but the outpost lights were off. No response, no movement. Then, on their own screens, they saw a new image. A human symbol burned across the station wall, glowing red in the darkness. 3 words followed beneath it. "We are watching." The speaker received Krath's report hours later. His voice shook with anger. "You were defeated by tricks." "Machines," he shouted. Krath looked exhausted. "They didn't attack us. They humiliated us," he said quietly. "They wanted us to know they could have destroyed us, but didn't." The speaker slammed his hand on the desk. "We'll strike again with double the fleet." But the old alien only said, "And they'll let you for now." In the shadows of deep space, hidden among silent asteroids, human fleets waited. Engines dark, weapons ready. Admiral Kane watched the stars. "They'll come again," Commander Reyes said beside him. "Yes," Kane replied, "and when they do, they'll learn the meaning of silence." The galaxy didn't know it yet, but the war had already changed. Humanity wasn't fighting for power. They were rewriting the rules of fear itself. And as their invisible armada moved deeper into the void, every star seemed to dim a little, as if the universe itself was holding its breath for what came next. Deep beneath the red surface of Mars, an enormous steel door opened slowly, revealing a vast underground hangar glowing with blue light. Thousands of engineers, soldiers, and scientists moved like clockwork, assembling ships that shimmered with black metal so dark it seemed to swallow light itself. These weren't ordinary warships. They were something new, something designed to terrify even the bravest fleets in the galaxy. Admiral Kane stood on a high platform, arms folded behind his back, watching them rise one by one. "Is the Echo fleet ready?" asked Commander Reyes. Kane nodded slightly. "Almost. Every system tested, every weapon charged, every pilot trained. The galaxy will soon learn what silence can create." A young engineer ran up, holding a data pad. "Sir, final power tests are complete. The new reactors are stable." Kane turned his gaze toward the massive ship at the center, the largest of them all, its hull carved with symbols of Earth's ancient nations. "And the flagship?" he asked. "Operational," the engineer said proudly. "We call it Erebus, after the old god of darkness." Kane allowed himself a faint smile. "Fitting," he said quietly, "because this war will end in darkness for them." Reyes leaned closer. "Sir, do you think they'll come again?" Kane's eyes hardened. "They will. Arrogance is their weakness, and they believe fear is power. But we will teach them that silence can be louder than thunder." He turned toward the glass window, where rows of ships lifted from the floor like shadows rising to life. "Prepare the fleet," he said. "Phase 3 begins now, far beyond Mars." The alien council fleets were regrouping. In the command chamber of the Celestora, Admiral Krath argued with the council speaker through a flickering hololink. "We cannot fight what we cannot see," Krath shouted. "Their ships disappear. Their weapons disable us without a sound." The speaker's voice was sharp and proud. "You lost because you hesitated. Humanity is weak. They hide because they fear us." Krath slammed his claws on the table. "You fool. They didn't hide. They let us go. Do you understand? They let us live," the speaker sneered. "Enough cowardice. I will send the full armada. 2,000 ships. Every empire will contribute. We will burn Earth until it's nothing but ash." Krath stared in disbelief. "And when their ghosts come for you?" he asked coldly. "Who will you call then?" The speaker ignored him. "Your orders are clear, Admiral. Advance again." Meanwhile, in the deep mines of Titan, Earth scientists were testing new weapons. They called them phase singularity drives, devices capable of bending space and creating temporary voids that could swallow entire fleets. "It's dangerous," said Dr. Harlow, the lead scientist. "If the calculations are wrong, it could destroy half the system," Kane replied calmly. "If they reach Earth, half the system won't matter." He watched as the first device was armed, its surface glowing red like a heart ready to burst. The room trembled as it activated. A ripple moved through space, and for a brief moment, every sensor in the area went blind. When the light faded, a section of empty space was gone. Just gone. "It worked," whispered Harlow. "My God, it actually worked." Kane placed a hand on his shoulder. "Then let's make sure they never see God again." A week later, the alien armada arrived at the border of human space, stretching across half the stars, thousands of warships in perfect formation, their engines glowing like suns. The council broadcasted a message galaxy-wide. "This is the end of humanity," the speaker declared. "The council does not negotiate with savages." His words spread through every channel, reaching even the hidden human bases. On Mars, Kane watched the speech in silence, then said, "Open the line." His voice echoed across the stars, calm and emotionless. "This is Admiral Kane of Earth. You came once and ran. You came again and fell silent. Now you come a third time, and there will be no coming back." The speaker laughed. "You think your little tricks can stop us?" He mocked. Kane replied, "No tricks, only balance." Then the transmission ended. Moments later, the alien fleet advanced. Hundreds of ships entered the zone near Jupiter. Their scanners picked up nothing. No humans, no stations, only silence. "Spread formation," Krath ordered, uneasy. "No mistakes this time." The moment they did, the stars blinked, not dimmed, blinked, like light itself was being swallowed. "Admiral, what's happening?" shouted his officer. "Unknown distortion. Wait, something's forming ahead." Out of the blackness emerged hundreds of human warships, larger than before. Their hulls reflected no light, and their movement made no sound. Kane's voice came through every alien channel at once. "You wanted a war. Now you have one." The human ships fired, not missiles, not lasers, but invisible waves that tore through alien systems like a storm of ghosts. Engines failed, shields collapsed, ships broke apart without a sound. Krath watched in horror as 1/3 of his fleet vanished in seconds. "Retreat! Retreat!" he shouted, but the void around them twisted. Trapping them, then came the twist. The humans stopped firing. The ships surrounded the remaining alien vessels, but didn't destroy them. Instead, holograms appeared on every bridge, showing Admiral Kane's face. "You have a choice," he said. "Turn back and live, or move forward and never see light again." Some alien commanders hesitated. Others screamed in defiance, "We will never bow to you." One shouted and ordered his ships forward. In response, one of the human dreadnoughts activated its singularity drive. The sky split open, and an enormous black sphere consumed everything in front of it. The alien ships vanished into nothingness. No explosion, no light, just emptiness. The rest of the fleet stopped immediately. Trembling, Krath stared in disbelief. "That wasn't war," he whispered. "That was extinction." Kane's transmission continued. "We do not seek to rule, we seek to remind. There are consequences to fear, and you brought this upon yourselves." His image flickered and disappeared. The alien fleet turned around, retreating faster than it had ever advanced. Hours later in the council chamber, chaos erupted. They destroyed half our armada. One delegate screamed, "We must surrender," shouted another. The speaker slammed his staff. "We are the council! We will not bow." But even as he spoke, his hologram flickered. A human voice interrupted the signal. "This is your warning," it said. "Do not return to human space." The speaker looked up, eyes wide. "They hacked our secure channel," he whispered. "Impossible." The old armored alien stepped forward slowly. "No," he said. "Inevitable." Back in the shadows of space, the Echo fleet drifted silently. Engines low, weapons cooling. Commander Reyes turned to Kane. "They'll never forget this day." Kane nodded. "Good," he said quietly, "because we'll never stop watching." And as the fleet vanished back into the dark, even the stars seemed to fade for a moment. The galaxy was quiet again. But it was not peace. It was the silence that comes after something has changed forever. The kind of silence that waits before the next storm. And in that silence, humanity's legend began to grow. Whispered in every corner of the galaxy, "Never provoke Earth." The Galactic Council chamber was darker than usual. Its golden lights dimmed, shadows crawling across the walls like nervous whispers. The war had changed everything. The proud alien leaders who once laughed at the thought of human resistance now sat in tense silence. The speaker's voice trembled as he spoke. "We must restore control. The people are afraid. Trade routes have collapsed. Colonies are rebelling." He looked around the room, his eyes filled with anger. "All because of them, the humans." The delegates exchanged uneasy glances. Everyone in that chamber knew the truth, but feared to speak it. Humanity had become something beyond understanding. General Arak, a tall insectoid commander, slammed one of his sharp arms on the table. "We should strike again," he hissed. "We have the numbers." The old armored alien across from him shook his head slowly. "And what will you strike?" he asked quietly. "Their ships vanish, their weapons silence fleets. Their technology defies our laws of physics. You can't fight what you can't see," Arak growled. "Then we must force them out, draw them into the open." The speaker's eyes lit with cruel inspiration. "Perhaps you are right, General," he said slowly. "Perhaps we can lure them out." Hours later, the Council's plan was broadcast across the stars. They announced a peace summit, claiming they wished to negotiate with Earth. But it was a trap, hidden beneath their new peace station. Hundreds of ships waited, armed and cloaked, ready to strike the moment a human envoy arrived. "They will come," the speaker said confidently. "Humans love their diplomacy. On the other side of the galaxy, In the quiet command center under Mars, Admiral Kane studied the intercepted message. Commander Reyes stood beside him. "You know it's a trap," she said. "They think they're clever," Kane replied, his voice calm. "But they still don't understand who they're dealing with." He turned to his officers. "Send an envoy, but not the kind they expect." Days later, the Council's peace station floated peacefully near the glowing rings of a gas giant. Dozens of alien ambassadors gathered, pretending to welcome the human ship that approached slowly from the dark. It was smaller than they expected, sleek and quiet. The hatch opened, and a single human woman stepped out, wearing a silver suit marked with Earth's crest. Her calm eyes scanned the crowd. "I am Envoy Dr. Elena Park," she said softly. "I come in peace." The speaker smiled coldly. "As do we," he lied, hidden under the station's surface. The Council's warships locked their weapons. The plan was simple: destroy the envoy, blame pirates, and declare humanity untrustworthy. But before they could fire, something strange happened. The station's sensors went offline. All communication cut. "What's happening?" shouted the technicians. "We've lost control of all systems." "Impossible," yelled the speaker. "Our defenses are shielded." Dr. Park stood still, her expression unreadable. "You should have learned by now," she said softly, "that humans don't walk into traps, they build them." The lights flickered, and the ceiling panels slid open, revealing black metal drones hovering silently above the chamber. One by one, their red eyes glowed, targeting every weapon hidden below. The speaker stumbled back. "What is this?" he demanded. "A message," she replied, "from Admiral Kane." Suddenly, the drones projected a hologram of Kane's face. "You thought we wouldn't know," he said, his voice echoing through the hall. "You think peace is something you can fake to lure us. No, this is your lesson." The hologram faded, and alarms began to scream as explosions shook the lower decks. The Council's hidden fleet tried to launch, but something was wrong. Their engines wouldn't start. "We've been hacked," screamed one commander. "They control everything." "Impossible," yelled another, but it was already too late. One by one, their ships began to overload, glowing bright before vanishing into bursts of light. The entire station trembled. The delegates ran for the exits, but the doors sealed shut. Dr. Park stood in the center of the chaos, calm as ever. "You wanted to lure humanity out," she said. "Now you have our attention." She pressed a small device on her wrist, and a portal of light formed behind her. She turned back for one last look at the terrified aliens. "Tell your council," she said quietly, "the next time they lie about peace, the stars themselves will burn." Then she stepped through the portal and disappeared. Moments before, the station erupted in a wave of silent fire. Back on Mars, Kane watched the feed cut off. Reyes looked uneasy. "You destroyed their peace station," she said. "No," Kane replied. "I destroyed their illusion." He leaned forward, his eyes hard as steel. "Now they will understand that peace is not weakness. It's mercy." Meanwhile, across alien worlds, chaos spread. Civilizations began to question the Council's power. Riots broke out as citizens shouted, "They started the war! They provoked the humans!" On one moon, rebel forces even raised the human flag as a symbol of defiance. The Council's authority began to crumble. Inside the ruined chamber, the speaker shouted at his remaining advisors, "We must regain control! We must—" He froze mid-sentence as his screen flickered again. It showed a message written in human script. "The Council has declared war 3 times. You will not get a 4th." The old armored alien stood up slowly, his tone heavy. "You were warned," he said. "You thought them primitive, you thought them mortal. But humanity doesn't fight to win. They fight to survive." The speaker collapsed into his chair, his voice weak. "What can we do now?" The old alien turned toward the window, watching stars flicker in the distance. "Pray they stop," he said quietly. "Pray they believe this was enough." Back in the vastness of deep space, the human fleet drifted silently. No broadcasts, no threats, only watchful eyes in the dark. Commander Reyes approached Kane. "The Council will break soon," she said. "They're scared," Kane nodded. "Fear is the first step to peace," Reyes hesitated. "And if they don't stop?" Kane looked out at the endless stars. "Then we remind them again," he said simply. Far beyond the human fleet, pieces of the destroyed peace station floated lifeless. The holographic lights still flickered faintly among the debris, displaying the final message left behind by Dr. Park before she vanished. 3 quiet words that would echo across the galaxy for centuries. "We are awake." The Council had wanted to trap humanity, but instead they had woken something ancient, patient and unbreakable, and as the stars burned quietly around them, every species that heard those words knew deep inside, the age of human silence was over. The ruins of the peace stations still floated in space, silent and cold. The Council had fallen into chaos after its destruction. Entire worlds were rebelling, and trade networks were collapsing. Fear spread faster than light. The speaker's voice echoed in emergency meetings. "We must restore control," he shouted. "If we don't, the galaxy will fall apart." His advisors looked pale. "Sir," one of them said quietly, "maybe we should send a message to Earth. Maybe they will listen if we ask for peace again." The speaker's eyes flared with anger. "Peace," he barked. "You saw what they did. They destroyed our fleets, our station, our pride." The old armored alien sitting in the corner spoke calmly. "Then maybe your pride is the problem." Meanwhile, deep beneath the oceans of Europa, a hidden human base hummed quietly. The air was cold, but the room burned with energy and purpose. Admiral Kane stood beside a glowing table, showing holograms of alien systems. "They're turning against each other," said Commander Reyes. "The Council is breaking apart." Kane's eyes remained sharp. "Good," he said, "but chaos can breed something worse. If they unite again under fear, they'll come for us with desperation. We must end this before they remember how to fight." Reyes frowned. "End it? You mean destroy the Council?" Kane turned slowly toward her. "No," he said, "we destroy the idea of the Council." In another corner of the galaxy, General Arak had seized control of 3 Council fleets. He stood before his troops, his mandibles twitching with fury. "The speaker is weak," he roared. "He hides while humans humiliate us. We will strike at Earth ourselves and end this shame." His soldiers cheered, unaware that human drones were already watching from the shadows. Hours later, Kane received the report. "Arak is moving," said Reyes. 300 ships. "No approval from the Council," Kane nodded. "Let him come. He's going to show the galaxy what happens to anyone who attacks Earth again." The battle began, near the edge of Saturn's rings. Arak's fleet entered in formation, weapons armed. "Humans hide behind rocks and silence," he growled. "Today, we break their silence forever." But the space ahead was empty. No ships, no signal, nothing. "Scan the area," he ordered. "I want them found." Suddenly, one of his officers shouted, "Admiral, look at the rings." The glowing rings of Saturn began to shimmer, reflecting strange patterns, like shadows moving beneath the ice. Then, without warning, the surface of the rings erupted. Massive black ships rose out of the dust, like predators emerging from the deep. The human fleet had been waiting, invisible beneath the debris. "Fire!" Arak screamed. His ships unleashed everything, missiles, plasma and beams, but every shot bent harmlessly around the human vessels. "Impossible!" cried his gunnery officer. "They're using some kind of field." The humans didn't fire back immediately. They simply surrounded Arak's armada, moving silently like wolves circling prey. On board the flagship Erebus, Kane watched through the main viewport. "Send transmission," he said. The image of Kane appeared on every alien screen. "General Arak," he said coldly, "you are not our enemy, but your actions make you one." Arak snarled. "You think you can scare me with words?" "No," Kane said. "I will scare you with truth." Suddenly, a massive hologram appeared in front of Arak's fleet, showing the entire council chamber in chaos. Alien leaders fighting, worlds burning. "Your council is gone," Kane said quietly. "You are fighting for ghosts." Arak froze. "Lies," he shouted. "We are still united." "Then where is your speaker?" Kane asked. "Where is your command?" "You are alone." At that moment, one of Arak's ships exploded. Then another. "We're being targeted," shouted his second-in-command. "By who?" Arak demanded. but the sensors showed no human attack. It was coming from their own ships, hacked from within. "You brought your own destruction," Kane said. "You attacked without permission, so your council chose to erase you. They fear you more than us," Arak roared in rage. "No! I'll destroy you myself." He lunged toward the control panel, but before he could fire, his ship shuddered, alarms blaring. "The reactor's overloading," screamed an officer. "We can't stop it." Kane turned away from the screen. "Let it happen," he said. The explosion lit up the void like a sun. The blast consumed Arak's fleet, wiping it from existence. When the light faded, only silence remained. Reyes looked at Kane. "It's over," she said. Kane shook his head. "No, this was a message. The Council will see it, and they'll finally understand what kind of war they started." Back on the Council homeworld, the speaker watched the report of Arak's destruction, his face pale. 300 ships. "Gone?" he whispered. "And not one human shot fired?" His aide nodded slowly. They turned Arak's own fleet against him. The speaker sank into his chair. "We can't win against that." The old armored alien stepped forward. "You finally understand," he said quietly. "They don't just fight wars, they end them before they begin." For the first time, the Council sent an unarmed vessel to Earth's border, carrying no weapons, only a message. When the ship reached the edge of human space, a voice came through its speakers. Calm and familiar. "This is Admiral Kane," it said. "State your purpose." The alien ambassador hesitated. We come to speak of peace." There was a long pause. Then Kane's voice returned. "Peace," he said softly. "You used that word as a weapon before." The ambassador's voice trembled. "Not this time. We have no fleets left, no allies. The Council is falling apart. We only ask for an end." For several minutes there was no response. The ambassador thought the transmission was lost. But then Kane's voice came again, quiet but powerful. "You wanted to teach the galaxy what fear is," he said. "Now they will learn peace through it." The line went silent. The alien envoy looked through the viewport and saw the impossible. Hundreds of human ships surrounding them, each one turning slowly, silently, not aiming weapons, only watching. The envoy spoke softly. "We understand now." The voice that replied was calm and final. "Good," Kane said. "Then take this message back to your stars. Earth does not forgive easily, but Earth remembers mercy." The envoy returned to the Council, bringing with him a recording of that moment. It spread across the galaxy within hours. Every world watched as the human fleet appeared, endless and unyielding. The final words echoed like thunder in the silence of space. "If you value peace, remember this day." From that moment on, no alien dared to cross human space again. The Council's power crumbled completely, and while some called it fear, others whispered a different word: respect. Admiral Kane stood once more on the bridge of the Erebus. Watching the stars, Commander Reyes joined him. "They'll stay away now," she said. Kane nodded slowly. "Maybe," he said, "but if they ever forget, we'll remind them." He turned to the stars, eyes cold as the void. "Because we don't start wars," he said quietly. "We finish them." And as the human fleet drifted across the darkness, the stars seemed to burn brighter, carrying the silent truth across the galaxy. Humanity had not just survived. They had become the storm the universe would never forget. The galaxy had gone quiet. The once mighty fleets of the Galactic Council were gone. Their empires broken by fear and silence. No one dared to cross human space now. The stars that once burned brightly near Earth's borders were empty, calm, untouched. Yet deep inside the human fleet's command ship Erebus, Admiral Kane stood at the window of the bridge, watching the endless black. "It's quiet," said Commander Reyes. "Too quiet," Kane nodded. "That's how I like it." But there was a shadow in his eyes. "Peace feels strange after war," he said softly. Reyes stepped closer. "Do you really think it's over?" she asked. Kane didn't answer. Instead, he turned to the screen showing transmissions from across the galaxy. Reports of broken colonies, frightened species, and whispers of rebellion against the fallen council. "No," he said finally, "the war is over, but the fear remains. And fear always breeds something new, thousands of light years away. In the ruins of the old council capital, The speaker sat alone in a cracked throne room. The once grand chamber was now silent, littered with ash and broken glass. He stared at a faint hologram of Earth's symbol glowing above his desk, the blue and white crest of humanity. "We built the council to keep peace," he muttered to himself. "And they turned us into monsters." The old armored alien entered the room quietly. "You built the council to control," he said. "But humans were never meant to be controlled." The speaker looked up. "Then what are they?" The old alien's voice was low. "They are the storm that follows injustice." Back on the Erebus, a sudden alarm echoed through the deck. "Admiral!" shouted an officer. "We're picking up a distress signal. It's from a neutral world near the council border." Kane's eyes narrowed. "Patch it through." The transmission crackled to life, filled with static and terrified voices. "This is the colony of Virella. Unknown ships approaching. They bear no council markings. Please, anyone help us." Reyes frowned. "Another rebellion." "Maybe," Kane said, "or maybe someone's testing us." He turned to his crew. "Plot a course, full stealth. We'll observe first, act second." Hours later, the Erebus arrived near the Virella system. The planet glowed blue beneath its twin moons, but something was wrong. The orbiting satellites were offline, and debris floated near the atmosphere. No sign of life. Kane asked. "Minimal," replied the sensor officer, "but there's energy below the surface. Artificial." Reyes looked at Kane. "A trap?" "Probably," he said, "but we've walked into worse." As the Erebus descended slowly toward the planet, faint shapes appeared in the clouds, ships small and fast, unlike any known design. "Identify them," Kane ordered. "Not council." "Not human," the officer replied. "Unknown origin." The ship suddenly opened fire, beams of white light slashing across the hull. "Shields up!" Reyes shouted. The ship shook but held firm. "Return fire," Kane commanded, but before the guns could lock, the enemy ships vanished. They disappeared. The gunner cried. "No, they cloaked," Kane said grimly. "Someone learned from us." Inside the clouds, the mysterious ships reappeared, circling like hunters. Their weapons were primitive but coordinated. "They're not trying to destroy us," Reyes said. "They're testing us." Kane stared at the tactical screen, watching the pattern of their attacks. "They're probing for weakness, like they already know how we fight." "Who could do that?" Reyes whispered. Kane's face darkened. "Someone who's been watching." He tapped his console, opening a secure channel to Earth Command. "This is Admiral Kane. We've encountered unidentified vessels with human-like tactics, requesting immediate scan of recent transmissions in this sector." The response came after a moment. "Admiral, those signals originated from human space." Kane froze. "Repeat that." "Sir," the voice said, "the ship's power signatures match experimental prototypes lost years ago." The bridge went silent. Reyes turned slowly toward him. "You mean humans?" she asked. Kane didn't answer. He just whispered, "Not all of us stayed loyal." Before he could speak again, a voice broke through the comms, calm, familiar and chilling. "Admiral Kane," it said, "you taught the galaxy to fear us, but now you must fear us too." Kane's heart went cold. "Who is this?" "The future," the voice replied, "and you can't stop it." Then the transmission ended. The enemy ships suddenly turned their weapons toward the planet. Firing into its surface, massive explosions erupted below. "They're wiping out the colony!" Reyes shouted. Kane's jaw tightened. "Enough," he said. "Target them and fire!" The Erebus unleashed its full power, blue beams tearing through the atmosphere. One by one, the enemy ships exploded, their wreckage raining down like fire. "All targets destroyed," said the weapons officer. But Kane didn't relax. He stared at the planet's burning surface. "No," he said quietly, "they wanted us to see this later." In the strategy room, Reyes paced. "If there's a faction using our technology, we could be facing another human power." Kane nodded. "And they're smarter than the Council ever was." "Then what do we do?" she asked. Kane's eyes hardened. "The same thing we've always done. We watch, we wait. And when the time comes, we act far away." In the ashes of the colony, a small black drone rose from the rubble. Its red eye blinked once before vanishing into the clouds. transmitting data back to an unknown source. A man's voice echoed faintly through the static. "They think they're the only guardians of Earth," he said. They forgot who built the first weapons. Back on the Erebus, Kane stood alone at the viewport, watching distant stars shimmer like fading embers. "Commander," he said quietly, "record this in the fleet log. Earth's silence has been broken again." Reyes nodded slowly. "Do you think this new threat is human?" Kane's voice was low. "It doesn't matter who they are. If they bring war, they'll learn what the galaxy already knows." He turned from the window, his reflection in the glass looking older, heavier but unbroken. "Never declare war on Earth," he said quietly. "Not even if you are one of us." The Erebus moved forward, engines humming softly as it disappeared into the dark, leaving behind only the faint echo of its commander's words. The stars flickered like watching eyes, whispering through the void that peace never truly lasts. Because humanity wasn't just a race anymore, it had become a force. And somewhere out there, hidden in the silence between stars, another storm was waiting to rise.